Week 5 had a lot of injuries that we need to go over. Every position lost players this week. Quarterback, running backs, wide receivers. Just to be clear, I am not a doctor. This is just a skit that I do to tell you what the actual doctors have diagnosed. I'll give you some recommendations to some real doctors later in the episode. But let's get it started. We're starting off at the top. My man, Justin Jefferson. The Vikings have placed Justin Jefferson on the injured reserve. This means he'll miss 4 weeks at least. With them going to IR, we gotta bust out the red pen. My man's out for at least 4 weeks. Get better soon. Now, one thing that does concern me, the Vikings are 1-4. If Justin Jefferson isn't back for the next 4 games, at what point do they decide to not bring him back? We were in this same situation last year with Cooper Kupp. He got hurt later in the year, the team sucked, and they decided not to bring him back. The Vikings are 3rd in their division at 1-4. The next 4 weeks, Bears, 49ers, Packers, and Falcons. They could go 2-2. But an extra little wrinkle is they haven't paid him his money. He wanted a new contract. That didn't get done. And on top of all of this, if they have a losing record, do they trade Kirk Cousins? I believe he's in the last of his deal, and there are some quarterback needy teams out there. Looking at you, Jets. Long story short, this situation is a mess. What should you do with Justin Jefferson if he's on your fantasy football team? Well, if you're 4-1 or 5-0, you can hold and see if the news gets better before you make any rash decisions. That's probably what I think you should do for now. I am concerned about this situation, but we may get some more news so you don't have to trade him so hastily. Now, if you 0-5, 1-4, you need to be trading Justin Jefferson. He's not coming back for 4 weeks. You can't take 4 more weeks of L's. Try to get a 2-for-1 where you give away the 1 and get the 2, and you want 2 starters at your weaker position. Justin Jefferson is risky on all fronts. You may want to capitalize on him now. How does this affect his team? Well, he's Justin Jefferson. He's a top 5 wide receiver. Of course, his team is going to take a step back. Now, the Vikings did help themselves during the NFL draft where they picked a wide receiver in the 1st round, Jordan Addison. He's had flashes of greatness, but he hasn't been as involved in the offense. Well, I think that changes. I'm gonna put Jordan Addison down for more targets, as well as KJ Osborne. I believe his targets also increase. Heck, even Alexander Madison might get a little bit more work. Up next, we have Devon Achane. The Dolphins have placed Devon Achane on injured reserve. Man, this is a blow to the Miami Dolphins and every fantasy owner out there. I really like this kid. He's fast, determined, get healthy, but he's gonna be out for 4 weeks. That's more red pin. With Devon Achane out, I see an increase in workload with Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson Jr., who's coming off of IR. Devon Achane should get some more work. The team's definitely gonna spread this around. Get better soon, Devon. We can't wait to see you. You are electric. And for everyone out there, don't forget, I'm not a doctor. Next up, we have James Conner. Cardinals place running back James Conner on the IR with a knee injury. Man, these players are dropping like flies. James Conner has had an extensive injury list in the past. This man beat cancer. James Conner is a fighter. I believe he will do everything he can to get back on the football field. He knows how to rehab, and he will come back from this knee injury strong, hopefully. I will still be looking into what the doctors actually say, because don't forget, I am not a doctor. The Cardinals' backups of note are Keontae Ingram and Amari DeMarcado. Keontae Ingram is currently listed as the starter. I think he gets the first crack at it, but Amari DeMarcado looked good last week when he came into the game. We'll see how this one shakes out, but full transparency, I picked up Mercado. Bold strategy, Cotton. We'll see how it works out for him. Next up, Anthony Richardson. Indianapolis Colts place Anthony Richardson on injured reserve. Oh, this is crushing. Per Adam Schefter, Colts head coach Shane Steichen told reporters that quarterback Anthony Richardson will miss some time with his sprained AC joint. Sprained AC joint on your throwing shoulder is not good. I'm concerned whether or not he's going to be out longer than 4 weeks. Obviously, we will stay tuned with the doctors and find out what they think, but this is not a good sign for a young quarterback to hurt his shoulder. His throwing shoulder. He's a running quarterback as well, so he's not going to necessarily come back and stay out of harm's way. Stay tuned on his return. The backup that will be taking over for Anthony Richardson is Gardner Minshew. Gardner Minshew is a solid backup quarterback. I think he's going to come back and actually help with the receivers. I think Michael Pittman gets a slight upgrade. Joshua Downs, I think, gets more involved. The running backs, I also think, will be more involved because he won't be rushing the ball as much as Anthony Richardson would have. Get better soon, Anthony. Can't wait to see you back on the field. Maybe slide a little more though. It's a lot of IR. Using up all my red ink. Got any left? Lord. The next patient, Chicago Bears Khalil Herbert. Khalil Herbert has been placed on IR and will miss the next 4 games. Oh my gosh, how many players are going on IR this week? Both Khalil Herbert and Roschon Johnson are out for Sunday's game. Well, that's interesting. With Khalil Herbert on IR for 4 weeks and Roschon Johnson out for this week, Donta Foreman's gonna be that dude. He's a solid running back, looked pretty good in Carolina last year, and he seems to be their main guy this week. I definitely think you could fire him up. If anything, he will get the touches. Some more notable outs. Jahmyr Gibbs, out with a hamstring injury. I've already discussed Khalil Herbert and Roschon Johnson. Tank Dell, out with a concussion. Deshaun Watson, out with a shoulder injury. Daniel Jones ruled out with what I believe is a neck injury. Miles Sanders out with a shoulder injury, which is new to me. He was dealing with a groin injury last week. This week it's a shoulder, not good. Let's get back to it. Xavier's also out this week, as well as Treylon Burks. Not that anybody was starting him. Let's discuss some players that are questionable coming into this week. Darren Waller, questionable for Sunday night's game with a groin injury. Saquon Barkley still questionable with his high ankle sprain, not high ankle sprain. Marquise Brown, questionable. T. Higgins is questionable, though they say it looks promising that he'll play in week 6. Dalton Kincaid is questionable. Dawson Knox is questionable. Sam Laporta is questionable with a calf injury. That's not good. On the bright side, we do have some players that are expected to play. Amon-Ra St. Brown expected to play. DK Metcalf, Keontae Ingram. That is a lot of players either on injured reserve, out, or just questionable to play. Keep your eyes out on the injury report. I will be sending out something on Sunday morning once the final injury reports come out, so make sure you check back. Also, next week, the professor will be back to give out some grades. Stay tuned. My favorite doctors to follow on YouTube are the fantasy doctors. This guy's incredible. He's quick, he's accurate, and he's entertaining. I recommend to follow. I also like Sick, Sports Injury Central. They also do very good work. Dr. David Chow, aka Pro Football Doc. This guy's really good. I recommend him as well. These are my favorite doctors to follow to get my fantasy football info. I recommend them because don't forget, I'm not a doctor.